Hello everyone, and welcome back to Divinity Original Sin. I'm glad you stuck with me, even though the character creation took forever. And let's go, I guess. The characters have been created. Yes, I am done.
In the days of old, the sorcerers of Rivellon cured the sick and healed the wounded through a great power called Source. But a terrible darkness invaded the land, and Source was forever tainted. The sorcerers who once healed now only destroy, and madness has overtaken them. A few brave Source hunters are all that stand between Rivellon and the dark power that threatens to destroy it. Wherever Source appears, hunters follow.
Rise and shine, Master Source Hunters. The captain wants you up on deck. Hear them gulls? Means we're close to shore. I don't ever you go in there, Master Source Hunters. City's full of undead, hungry and out for blood. But you're supposed to investigate that murder, ain't you? They say it's Source that did the counselor in. Source in a city like Sicil, nowhere safe anymore. Here they are, Captain Sir.
God's blessings on you, hunters. You'll be happy to hear we've reached Sicil. But there's trouble offshore, so we'll have to sail in carefully. Here, have a look. Those are orc ships, and they're blocking our passage. We'll get you as close to the city as we can, and drop you off in the beach. Be wary now. Orcs are on the attack. Undead have closed every route out, and there's a sorcerer on the loose. If we're to get justice for the counselor, you'll have to keep your wits about you. May the luck of the gods be with you both, Source Hunters.
Okay, I like that intro. All in all, whoever wrote the dialogue for this game, he really had a sort of poetic vein. There's a lot of at least very poetically sounding dialogues, and the game definitely has a lot of funny moments as well, sort of silliness. As you might have seen in a lot of similarly old RPGs. Well, no, it's based on old RPGs. It's not actually old itself. But it's that kind of humor at times, but also there's a seriousness to it, and I really like it. So, welcome to Divinity Original Sin. Click anywhere on the ground or hold the left mouse button continuously to begin exploring. So, I can hold the Alt button down, by the way. I will be doing that a lot to highlight objects. So right here, there's a broad skull, which if I hold Alt, ta-da, all the skull and the shells and such become highlighted. Okay, that's all fairly self-explanatory. I will be going through the tutorial. And an empty chest. A lot of the chests in the game are empty.
If I didn't know there were orc ships raiding to the west, I'd mistake this for a placid beach.
At least the orcs make a bit of noise when they attack. It's dark-dealing sorcerers that'll strike with neither warning nor mercy.
And I think the aspect that will be very interesting if you co-op this game is that the two protagonists, well, we're in a group and sort of we're bound together by a cause. We are not so much we're not so much a unit as two people who are united by that cause by not much else. So that means while we might be working together,
is that a corpse? What's it doing here alone?
What, did you expect it to have an entourage?
Get rid of that, by the way. we may well end up disagreeing a lot. I can control that actually by in dialogues. I can very often specify their answers differently from each other. So I can say this guy says, "Oh, it's fine, leave the woman alone," and she says, "No, we can't, we have to help her." And I have control over that. And in co-op, of course, the two different people will be playing these two different characters. So you might have one player saying, "You know, I just want to get through this and steal that staff because it's very useful." The other guy might say, "No, it doesn't belong to us, let's leave it," for example. Okay, let's search the dead man. He has a diary, traveler's journal. And by hitting spacebar, I close the container and take everything out of it. Now, let's read the traveler's journal. And also, let's read the Order of Source Hunters. This is a bit of backstory. So, again, don't expect too much action from the game. When Source was tainted so many centuries ago, sorcerers who had once brought great good began to wield the force of evil. When one of their kind, Brachus Rex, came to power, he instigated a war that would have undone Rivellon if not for the Council of Seven. These wise rulers ordered a new order of elite warriors, especially trained to fight the Source menace. Brachus was defeated, and the Order of the Source Hunters began its legacy. Our objective is to eradicate the Source menace from Rivellon, one sorcerer at a time. Recognizing Source. Unlike other forms of magic, Source is particularly difficult to identify. Mages of many years' experience may learn to sense the presence of Source, as others smell the sick sweet scent of poison, or hear the barely perceptible scrape of a sword loosened from its hilt. Source may be channeled through certain objects, weapons, gems, or metals. These are unpredictable as Source itself, and may inflict terrible harm or magnificent feats of healing upon either wielder or target. Methodology of the Source Hunter. I know that word, I don't know why I'm mispronouncing it. Ours is an order of cunning and cleverness as much as strength and power. The well-trained Source Hunter will examine and question lift every barrel and analyze each testimony for the faintest breath of a clue. Nothing is insurmountable. If some knot puzzles you, mark its location upon your map and return to it when you've learned a better method of untangling it. There are no limits to a Source Hunter's resolve. No riddle is unknowable, no foe unbeatable, no mystery unsolvable. So, by hitting F5 I can quick save actually. Just want to make sure I don't forget that. I'm slightly worried about my frame rate, but it's okay still. And now the Traveler's Journal. Rejoice, for the statues have granted my wish. Their whimsical nature, however, must not be taken lightly. So before I soar through the sky like an eagle, I shall attempt a mere hop from the cliffs down at the beach. This should be a small feat for the man that can fly. If this experiment is successful, the sun shall be my next target. Okay, click on characters that have exclamation marks above their heads. This will initiate dialogue. This is a cooperative dialogue. It allows you to roleplay discussions between the two main characters. And as I said, if we were co-oping, this would be our partner talking, instead of me choosing both sides. Can you believe this? The man jumped off a cliff at the behest of some statues, of all things. Pure madness. How could someone be so utterly naive? Agreed. Call me skeptical, but a little proof goes a long way for the rational mind. And that gives us 1 point towards being pragmatic. I will usually make the same choice on both my characters. I don't know if that will bar me from certain choices later on in the game, but I tend to have a fairly strong opinion one way or the other, I guess. And usually I will have my characters reflect what I'm thinking. Not always, but at least in this case, definitely. There's not much of a reason to pick up these shells, by the way. They're not particularly valuable, but in the beginning we're kind of short on money, I guess. So might as well take them all. Okay, we heard some voice in the background there. We'll get to that in a bit, so don't worry about it just yet. Okay. Luckily, once I've opened a container once, the symbol changes. so it's now an open chest instead of the closed chest with a star next to it, and that tells me I've already opened it, and if it's empty now, it will also tell me that. And let's do a quick save. And those don't take too long, a few seconds maybe, and that's fine, I think.
Curses upon them, source hunters! Secure the stone! I'll deal with these rats.
Goddess be with you, master!
So, these two unidentified combatants are running away.
Rise! Arise! Drawn forth from blood, I bid you aid me.
And he's now also running away. So the only things we actually have to fight are the things he summoned. Combat is turn-based. To move, attack, or cast a spell, you need to use action points. Different actions have different costs. Your turn ends when you have no action points left. Okay, so basically moving costs action points, as you can see. It shows me which way I'm moving and how many points that will cost. And attacking also costs action points. And if I hover over an enemy like this, the mouse pointer turns into a sword. And this combines the action of running towards him, which will cost 1 action point. So moving about here, 1 action point, as you can see. With the cost of attacking, which is 3 action points. So I run up to this cursed servant and hit him. And that's actually enough to kill him. These are fairly easy tutorial enemies, of course. But the 4 remaining action points I have are enough to go and attack this one as well, who then also dies. Okay. She's my lore master, so eventually she will have more knowledge of enemies. Right now she has lore master on level 1, so I believe this enables me to see the target's current hit points. And I believe if I spec that higher, I will basically be able to learn more. Now, I have no use yet for the Midnight Oil. Well, it slows enemies down, but I can't set it on fire yet, which is my goal, eventually, with that skill. But I can summon the spider, and as you can see, I can't summon it if someone else is standing there, so I can't summon it on top of my partner here. Strange. But I can summon it, for example, right behind this archer, or right in front of this archer. Well, almost. Can't summon it between these guys because there's not enough space, but can summon the spider right there. And then if I hit spacebar, even though I still have 2 action points left, I basically end my turn. And those 2 action points are preserved, so I can use them next turn. Which is very nice if I'm at a point where I don't have much to do. And I can conserve a lot of my action points. There's a limit to how many I can have in total, but all the ones I don't use get preserved. It might just go over the limit, and so the excess will be lost. But the ones I preserve will be usable next turn. Which means if the enemy is too far away, I might wait and let them come to me, and then next turn I'll have more AP to attack them multiple times. But now I'm using the spider to kill that ranged character.
Their leader said something about escaping with a stone.
Stolen from this dungeon, I imagine. Can we get inside?
Okay, so this is the tutorial dungeon, basically. Alternatively, I believe I can run around here and go down here, which I want to do. I think I'll do that now. Well, actually, access the optional tutorial area by entering the dungeon behind you. I don't believe this ever becomes unusable, but just in case, I want to just go through the tutorial now. And the loading screens from one big section of map to the next are long, but in between sections of map, much shorter, because it's basically loading up the entire map. So fast traveling from one end to a town to the other, for example, it doesn't reload the entire map. It's very fast. I do here have some broken vases. These don't contain anything, but also bone piles, which might randomly contain stuff. And I can turn all these candles off. I just don't believe it does anything. And here we have a chest, which is locked. This chest doesn't look very solid. Try breaking it open. So if I hold down Control, it enables me to attack objects that have a standard default action, a different default action. So of course, normally, the default action for hitting and clicking on a party member is nothing. She has currently got no dialogue options, so if I click on her, I would move to her location. If I had Control, I could actually hit her. Which would be silly, but I could do it. Same thing with the chest. And hit the chest, open it up. And then, as I've explained, Alt to highlight items on the ground. Now, 4 gold, yay. I don't believe you lose any of the items that are in the chest. It's just that, yes, I can move objects. I'll show that myself. And you read that book as well. See, because he's fairly strong, he can throw stuff like crates quite far. No, I want this one. Okay, actually had something in it. I should probably move this right here so you can see the log a little more easily. As I said, I don't believe that you destroy what's in the chest.
There's a mine in the middle of our path.
Someone must have an interest in protecting whatever's kept here.
I believe you just lose a lot of durability on your weapon by attacking a thing like a chest. Now this is a mine. It does what you expect it to do. In the ordinary course of events, you don't really have to disarm it, because even if I click right behind it, my character is smart enough to circumvent it, as is the rest of my party. They will usually avoid mines unless I manually click on one, and so walk on it myself. My party members will usually avoid it. I can also throw barrels on it, making it explode, and I actually sadly hit Charm. Because she wasn't far enough away, but that's okay. I could have avoided that. And this is now a burning surface on the ground. Again, something to be avoided. Now, I don't know how much you can actually find in this initial dungeon. I know the first time I went through, I was very thorough, but I don't believe it got me much stuff. So I think I'll skip that. Now, Charm.
I've always heard there's typically more to a king's tomb than meets the eye.
It could be a myth, or it could be our lucky day.
Which is this king's tomb here? Let's check the vase first. And then let's search the king's tomb, because why not? Contains an old parchment. Gravekeeper Ragequin. Tend the graves in the antechamber before moving into the inner rooms. To proceed, stand very close to the impressed door and press the button that appears on its right-hand side. What I do want, however, is to pick Charm and talk to the rat, because she should have the Pet Pal talent, if I remember correctly. And even if the rat runs away, she'll follow it. Because you have the talent Pet Pal, you can easily converse with animals. Okay, Squeak! This is where the ancient kings and queens of Sicily were buried, back before Sauce was banished from the land. I hear voices muttering about it now and then. Is that normal?
Goodbye!
Fair enough. So that's the kind of thing you might be told by animals. Nothing? Okay, this chest's lock seems intricate. You should search for its key nearby. And there's the key. And this enables me to just open it directly, take out the fire arrow that I currently don't have a use for, but still, you never know. And there is a way to open any container in the game, any door in the game, although some of them may be a little difficult. And we learned from that parchment we found that there's a hidden chamber, basically. Got a knockdown arrowhead. We'll get to all those, they're not currently very meaningful. Okay, let's see what this rat has to say.
Well, what's this I've spotted?
Okay. Squeak! I don't know much, but I do know this. Wherever black robes tread, chaos follows.
Goodbye!
And I think that's Charm saying good boy. In a very strange voice. Anyway, we found this secret button that we learned about on the parchment as well, so we can use it. Opening the way into this side chamber here. You can look behind walls. Okay, we've seen that. Basically by holding down the middle mouse button I have some rotational control over the camera, but it's fairly limited. This is the extent to which I can rotate. Okay, here we have a door. This door doesn't look very sturdy, so once again...
We made short work of that door, but I don't imagine our weapons would survive such use for long.
True. Bashing through every entrance we find is bound to affect our gear's durability.
So there we go. The downside is basically that our weapons won't be useful for as long. Okay, now it's telling me to quick save. I should probably do that. So far I had no issues with the game crashing, but certain problems with it. Oh, a rain scroll, nice. Certain problems where I would die in certain fights. Sadly, that happens quite a bit. Okay, and here we get an introduction to, well, I guess, environment effects. Okay, I'm not strong enough to move this barrel full of water, which makes sense. A barrel full of water of that size would be very heavy. This is a fire surface. Very bad news. However, I did happen to just find a rain scroll. So, that creates rain in a huge area. And as you can imagine, rain is very loud, first of all. I just noticed. I have to reduce the volume on that. But of course, rain falling on a fire surface makes it a non-fire surface. So we're now wet because we're standing in the rain, which means electric attacks, for example, will do more damage to us. It gives us a resistance against fire attacks, though. So it would, for example, be something you might take advantage of when you're facing a bunch of enemies that use fire against you. And here we have a few lockpicks, which I'm also taking. And the higher my lockpicking skill, the higher my success rate when trying to open a locked door with a lockpick. You get the point once again.
Careful. I spotted a trap.
Okay. I guess they will introduce that feature later, but by dragging Charm away, I can remove the chain that's, you see here in between the party members, there's a kind of chain. And if I drag that away, I now have separate control over my party members, so they're not following each other. Which means I can now do... Okay, found a key in the vase. Can I throw this? Yes, I can. Right on top of that trap. Which didn't trigger it, funnily enough, but never mind. Let's open the chest now with that key. Inside is a magical poison dart scroll. The relevance of which is fairly low. I don't use scrolls much. Okay, let's reattach Charm to the party. And head down here. Okay, so here's a big door. Charm, can you talk to the rat, please? Squeak! I come from a long line of tomb dwellers. They say the matriarch of my clan was the first to sample the mummified flesh of the last Source King.
Goodbye!
Whoa, that's an annoying sound sample, that good boy. Oh well. Okay, so... Yes, don't just throw the barrel, please. Because behind them, hidden, is a lever. Which opens this big gate. But we haven't finished exploring back here yet. So, quick save once again. It's not really necessary here, but just I like to be safe, I guess. Okay, and here we will find a scroll of fireball. No. I'll show you how that works. This is a poison surface, as well, as I'm sure you can tell. And poison interacts nicely with fire. It creates an explosion. Of course, now the ground's on fire, which is somewhat not ideal. But I can get to these two containers without trouble. I might be able to walk by on the side actually, but I'm also able to just use my second rain scroll to turn all the fire off. And it went away. And before I forget, I will now go to audio. Voice is fine, cinematics is fine. I want the FX. Oh yeah, it's definitely too noisy. Down to 40. And resume. Okay, so that fire surface was temporary. It was obviously going to go away, but, well, I just wasted the rain. It's not that bad. And I found a metal temple door key, which I don't believe we've come up to that door yet. Might come up later. And I won't constrain myself in episode length with these. They might be anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes. I hope that's okay with you. If you want more consistency, let me know, but might be difficult to find good locations to cut, I guess. And also, let's use my healing ability on Charm to restore 30 vitality on her. It has a bit of a recharge. Even out of combat, skills don't recharge instantly. But of course, while I'm out of combat, there's no problem. I can just sit and wait for the ability to recharge. Okay, here we come upon yet another sort of environmental obstacle, I guess. We search these containers first. And I can throw the jar on top of this vent in the ground, which you might not be able to see very well. They're difficult to spot. But that makes the poison cloud go away. And were I to replace the, to move the barrel again, the vent would start spouting its poison again. Second vent is right here. These are difficult to see, as I said. But there we go. I don't know if this third one actually, this one can be stopped. Yes, it can, okay. This happens quite commonly. Well, quite commonly I say. It does happen on occasion in dungeons, basically. What do we have here?
I think I hear voices downstairs.
The last thing we need is to surprise another angry summoner.
Okay, enter sneak mode by pressing C. And this is very much similar to the, I think, chameleon spell from Dark Souls. You turn into an object that's sort of suited to the environment. So basically I now turn into a stone. Well, I have a big stone over my body, and this is one of those aspects of the game that I find just hilarious. Sometimes it pays off to scout ahead.
My robes are soaked. You better hope there's no hint of a flame in this place. They want to get in here but us and the boss. You don't know that. Those cultists have been poking about for days.
Okay, and that teaches us that we have a fireball scroll and they're standing in oil. And, well, the results are predictable. This combat would have been easy without that trick as well, but there's no reason not to take advantage of it. Especially since the tutorial wants us to, and that way I don't forget any important or interesting features of the game in my explanations. Here we have a big door, which is triggered by these two pressure plates. Sadly, we don't really have well, if we stand on them, the door opens, but if we walk off, it closes again. So we just take some broken vases, put those on the pressure plates, and that'll open the gate. All very easy and self-explanatory and fairly simple. And in here we have an intelligence potion, and a cooking pot. Not that I need the cooking pot, but might as well take it. And there's nothing relevant back here, so let's stay here. And I believe we'll have a bit of a fight fairly soon, so let's have 5. No, this is where we learn how to split the party, I remember now. So again, split the party, tell Charm to stand on this pressure plate. And then that'll open this door, which I can go through and stand on this pressure plate. Which will open Charm's door, which means I can now go through here and reunite with my man. And usually before bigger or sort of scripted fights, I guess, we get an autosave anyway. And here we have Rage King, who was the Gravekeeper, if you remember. We heard about him. A living rat dares disturb the slumber of the dead. A thieving fool insults the sanctity of the grave. The bloodstone defiler, where is it? Who are you? In life I toiled to care for these holy grounds. In death I protect them from profaners and poachers. The legacy of Sicil is mine to preserve. Her traitors are mine to destroy. Bloodstone? I know not what you mean. I suppose you only crept among these sacred tombs for leisure? I suppose you had no lust for the treasure of the dead. Ha! I met a trio of strange-robed men before the entrance of this tomb. They seemed to have a precious stone in their possession. Strange indeed, robed indeed. Your tricks will not save you from retribution, deceiver. The bloodstone, deliver it now, and I may deign to end you quickly. I'll take my leave. Run if you like, defiler. Whichever way you will take leads you to the grave. Oh, unavoidable combat. And I appear to have higher initiative than my female partner, which isn't ideal, but let's go and attack the guy anyway. Oh, he doesn't take much, okay. I mean, it is the tutorial after all. I mean, let's give the Oath of Desecration to Strange, because why not? And then I still have some AP left. 5 of them, to be precise. Those down here are our action points. So I can use a Staff of the Magus, which is just a standard staff attack. Okay, that was lucky, dodging both these attacks. And I got the kill, but I don't have enough movement to get back to him. Okay, he now died but turned into a ghost. So I will use the opportunity to summon a spider. Which can now attack the ghost. And the fact that I missed is not because he's a ghost, I just have an 88% chance to hit. Which means I had a 12% chance to miss, which, well, means it's definitely possible that I might miss. Okay, killed that one, however, and now I can walk back to the ghost. And because I don't have anything else to do, I'll use standard attacks on the guy. Killing him quite nicely. Finding some old mail armor, which, darn. She is not supposed to carry the stuff. That's Strange's job. A Farseer scroll. Some gold back here. And some more gold back here. And after fights I like to quick save as well. Because the combat in the game is actually quite difficult at times. And that strange noise was my spider dying, by the way. It's got a limited duration on it, of course. Okay, here we have a stone door, which puts us outside. And that's the tutorial essentially finished. So I will take this opportunity to firstly heal up my partner to full health. And I will take my leave here. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, as I said, please give me feedback and tell me about video length and if I should continue this or not. Bye bye.